and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. In the words of one of our very many vertically challenged lyricists today, my boy Lil Durk, how do you think you're still real? You switched up on your guys and shit. Out here today, bunch of switching up going on. I know this is a football channel. This we know. I know it. We are here to talk college football. That's what we do. But that doesn't mean we can't learn a little bit of something from the news around the world of sports and apply that news and apply the learning concepts that we've applied from those, or gained rather from those, and turn around and apply that to college football. This time about a year ago, LIV Golf was all the sporting news could talk about. It was all over ESPN's, all over all the main primary news channels, because the Saudi Arabians were involved, right? The Saudi Arabians, I should say, the Arabians, right? The Saudi investment funds started throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at golfers, trying to poach them from the PGA Tour. This idea of poaching talent or poaching people sounds kind of familiar, right? They succeeded too, did LIV Golf. They pulled off rather some big sports names from the golf world, or rather some big names from the golfing world, though they didn't get them all, right? The PGA stood their righteous ground for nearly a year before the big baddie Saudi investment fund and LIV Golf, or rather stood up and fought those guys in a very demonstrative way, very almost angry way, spoke some very harsh words towards LIV Golf, did the PGA Tour, only to today or this week turn around and strike up a deal with these guys that they've been out here speaking so poorly about, right? The PGA Tour looked at their players, right, the ones that stuck around, looked at their players and said, hey, we need you to go out there and put up arms and fight for our PGA Tour out there against this LIV Tour, right? Only to turn around and sign a deal with this LIV Tour. They had Rory McIlroy out there standing in front of the national media every single week asking questions about Phil Mickelson and Brooks Koepka and all these guys that were making hundreds of millions of dollars on the LIV Tour, only to turn around and sign a deal with the LIV Tour. So as college football fans, what can we learn about this? I think we're in a very similar game right now. We're in a very similar environment with college football, where there is a bidding war of haves and have-nots right now in our world of college football. Okay, we have multi-million-dollar businesses pretending and disguising themselves as college football programs. That's exactly what's going on, right? These are major entities and major stocks, if you will, that other corporations or other companies are trying to acquire and put within and underneath, rather, their umbrella, right? Which brings us to our question of the night. Which one of these Power 5 conferences out here in this world right now, which one of these Power 5 conferences out here is going to be the bozo holding the bag like PGA Tour was today, right? Which one of these Power 5 conferences is going to stand on their moral high ground only to get left in the dust in a couple of months, right? Only to bend back on those moral high grounds and go away from it, right? Which of these college football programs, rather, not just conferences, but which one of these programs is out here continuously showing this blind and blissful ignorance and loyalty towards their conference, right? Just like some of these PGA Tour guys did, right? Not their fault. They sacrificed hundreds of millions of dollars over there at the LIV Tour over some moral principle and a really good moral principle, only for their bosses and their people that they stood behind to turn around on them, right? And go over there with the LIV Golf anyways. So who is this? Who is this conference, and who is this team in particular? Because there is a Rory McIlroy of college football right now. There is a Power 5 big name program that is out here right now in what is equivalent of the PGA Tour trying to fight this massive money wealth. It's the Pac-12, guys. It's so obvious that the Pac-12 right now is just getting picked apart left and right? UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten and getting poached from the Pac-12. That might as well be like not only Phil Mickelson going to the LIV Tour during this, hyperbole or this metaphor, if you will, but also landing Tiger Woods. It would have been like pulling both names out of PGA Tour and pulling them over to the LIV Tour. That's basically what the Big Ten did in one fell swoop, pulling USC and UCLA. Not only that, right? We found out this week that Arizona and Colorado are probably leaving the Pac-12 to go to the Big 12. So now not only is the Big 10 poaching the Pac-12, but now you got the Big 12 poaching the Pac-12, which brings us to Oregon. Oregon, you are the Roy McIlroy of this situation. You are standing 10 toes down in the Pac-12 right now and wearing it. I mean, absolutely wearing it for no apparent loyalty reasons, right? I don't know what version of this there is for Oregon where they're, out here standing out in front of, cameras and going to bat for the Pac-12. I don't think that's the case. But they are going to be the ones left holding that bag for all of that, right? They are out there in the Pac-12 basically by themselves at this point now, right? As one of the only, I think there's 12 to 15 major players in college football. Most of them reside nowadays in the SEC and the Big Ten. And then there's Oregon out there hanging out in what is left of the Pac-12, which I think at this point is down to maybe 8 or 10 teams. Okay, so it's really, really getting picked apart really, really quickly. So I don't know if Oregon's going to be this football team that ends up regretting their loyalty to a program, but I don't know how you couldn't. I don't know how you couldn't when you see all these big names and brands in your conference just up and departing. But I really don't think, and it's a long way of doing this, and I was going to a metaphor for just to get LIV Golf in here because I love golf, and I think there are some things to be learned from this, right? Blind loyalty is no good. You cannot be out here being a yes man just because you're told to be a yes man. That's not it, ladies and gentlemen. You can't do that. You're going to cost yourself hundreds of millions of dollars, even in this world of college football, right? You can't just walk around life saying, okay, we're good. We're all right. Unless it's Greg Sankey. You can do that. You can trust that man blindly. But the rest of these folks can't have blind, ignorant loyalty, right? You can't just be walking out here standing around. But I don't really think it's going to matter because, and again, I'm not in the major know on this. We don't have Greg Sankey's phone number. We don't have the Pac-12 commissioner's phone number. We ain't out here plugged in like that, not yet. But I do see a world of college football very, very soon where conference realignment starts to settle and we no longer have a Power Five, but we really have like a primary four, like a Final Four that lands. Right. I think eventually you see something like maybe the Pac-12 and the Big 12 merge, or somebody swallow all the ACC schools, maybe split them up between the ACC and the Big 10. But as we see the Pac-12 kind of dissolve, we're kind of running out of Power 5 teams, right? And I don't think this is a major problem for the schools like Oregon. Oregon's going to be Oregon. They're going to be a major program just like Texas is, and just like Georgia is, and just like Tennessee is, and just like Florida is, right? These programs are self-sustained. They're going to be all right. College football will not let them go by the wayside. But if you're a secondary Power 5 school in your state right now, okay, if you're Georgia Tech, if you're Washington State, if you're Texas Tech, if you're these programs that are the second fiddle, sometimes third, maybe fourth fiddle of Power 5 programs in your conference, what is keeping, when all of this happens, when these four, if this happens, all these conferences kind of merge into one big conglomerate, maybe like an Elite 75 group of teams or an Elite 80 group of teams, man, if you get cut out of that, you're basically in mid-major football again. And I don't know if that's good or bad for programs like Georgia Tech or good or bad for programs like Washington State, because if we sit here today, you don't think they have a realistic national title hopes anyways, right? But man, we're talking mergers, baby. Merger. Jackie Moon. That's what we're talking about out here today in college football. And it will eventually happen, right? I do think two of these Power 5 conferences become one eventually. Okay, the Big 12 swallowing teams up left and right. The Big 12 might be the Big 20 by the end of this conference realignment settling. Okay, they basically swallowed all of the Atlantic Conference, or the AAC, right? Took UCF and took Houston and took Cincy. Okay, they're swallowing up a lot of mid-major perennial really good football programs. That includes now Colorado, and that includes now Arizona, per reports. So don't be out here blindly being loyal to your programs or your conferences. Okay, be a businessman and go about your business decisions. And when we mentioned Oregon, if you don't think Phil Knight's gonna be out here making business decisions, you're a little bit wacky. We got a loaded show for you guys tonight. It's a great one as per usual. We did talk mergers. I did slip in a semi-pro reference right there. A little Jackie Moon. Man, Jackie Moon, great movie. Semi-pro, great movie. I'm talking a whole bathtub full of sweat. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's unfortunate. You need to go watch that movie, okay? I'm calling you, Jive Turkey. Go on. You need to go watch that movie. Man, we got a load of show for you guys. We're going to talk about Kirby's clear-cut gambling strategy. Okay, we talked about it in the header, in the title. It's probably why most of you are here. I got the non-Georgia stuff out the way. We're going to have comments, but talk Georgia stuff, man. It took you 10 minutes. We get into it. All right, we got to get y'all lathered up right here before we get too hot into the Georgia takes. We are going to talk about that clear-cut gambling strategy. I think it stands out, bar none. I think it's obvious when you look at what they're doing. It's not just about landing 5 stars at the University of Georgia. It's about doing things the right way and taking the right type of gambles. And we'll talk about that tonight. And we'll also talk about what you need to know about Justin Greene, the latest commitment to the University of Georgia in the 2024 class. I believe that brings us up to 17 commits for the University of Georgia in that 2024 class. So stick around. We will be grinding some tape later on tonight, and it's some good ones, or I would imagine it's some good ones. I haven't seen Justin Greene's junior tape. I think he's only got a midseason tape, but I watched him in practice. We got 4.5 minutes ourselves that we sent out to a bunch of Power 5 coaches. So we know what he looked like. We know what the personal evaluation looks like. So I'm excited to watch the film with you guys tonight. If you could, man, hit that like, thumbs up button, all that good stuff. We are live here on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 9 o'clock. We're going to be changing some time zones and some time, lengths and when we're going and how we're going and what we're doing come this fall. But, man, we've had a great offseason here with you guys, and I've had a blast this entire offseason, really, really grinding. I mean, we have been – I don't know if – I don't follow any other channels. I don't know about other people's content. But I know here on this channel, this is new for us. We have not been this adamant about being this consistent since this season. And you guys have shown up in droves. Y'all have shown up, and y'all have shown support. Continue to do that tonight. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, do all that good stuff. We're going to take this comment from Brent Sturgis right here because we always show love to the super subs when they pop up. Bryant said he's going to miss regional football, but business is business. I do believe that eventually regional football will somewhat cease to exist. Heck, we're already there, right? We were already there. I thought we were there in terms of regional ideologies and regional concepts cease to exist in college football the moment Missouri was in the SEC West and Auburn was in the SEC West. Or excuse me, Missouri's in the SEC East and Auburn was in the SEC West. The moment that happened and they just put Missouri in the East so they didn't have to worry about splitting up the Iron Bowl because of, history, I knew immediately, hey, we're just throwing shit against the wall and hoping it sticks, and it's college football, so it's gonna, that kind of deal. You're going to lose some regional aspects of college football. You already have, right? In a couple of years, I think next year, USC and UCLA are basically building an entire campus in Chicago or is in Indianapolis, so they can be a part of the Big Ten without having to have student athletes travel basically half the semester. So it's getting wild in college football, but we already knew that was going to happen. Told you we got a loaded show for you guys tonight. Hit that thumbs up button. Let's get after it. All right. We know, and I should say, I'm misreading the notes. Let's start over in case we want to clip this. I'll never forget the day I saw Ladd McConkey. And this isn't one of these I'll never forget the day stories because Ladd McConkey is some kind of physical specimen. That's not it. I have a lot of those with Georgia recruiting players or Georgia recruits, right? You go see a football player, and you're like, God dang, man. Like, whew, that dude just stood out. Oh, bad whistle. That dude just stood out. That dude was the best player there today. That dude is a Georgia football player. I have a lot of those. Okay, we have a lot of those memories of guys where, yep, they check boxes when we go see them in our in-person evaluations, okay? I don't know what the percentage is, but we're a rather high percentage of amount of Georgia commits and signees that we've actually seen in person, not just the film stuff, right? Ladd, one of these football players, and the first time I ever saw him, I walked away thinking, I don't know. I don't know. That's all I said. I don't see it. That's what I kept saying to myself. I don't see it. I don't see what exactly this isn't Georgia. They don't do this at the time. It's not something that they did. I just didn't see it. I did not see something that was anything other than a gamble by the University of Georgia with regards to the upside in that football player. I saw something that was really, really raw, and that is unlike all gambles at the Power 5 major recruiting level. Okay, if you are a 5'10", 165-pound wide receiver and you want to go to the University of Georgia, I'm telling you right now, typically, historically, you had to be an awfully refined football player. I mean, you had to be exceptional at something, right? Something, one thing at least that you did had to be takeable to be a taken football player at 5'10", 165 pounds, period. Okay. Ladd McConkey never had a chance to be great at one thing in high school football. If you ever know anything about him, when he was at North Murray High School, he played everything. He did everything. He played quarterback. He was a punt returner. He was a kick returner. He was a wide receiver. He was a slot back. He ran jet sweeps. He played corner. He played safety. He did not do one thing. Did everything. Never once was he great at one singular thing. He was great at kind of everything, right? So you know what I did today? I was like, you know what? I have the footage. I have the reasons why I had these opinions. I have the reasons why I was like, I don't know. I don't really see it. Okay. And I want you to take a look at this. I want you to watch closely. And when we're done, we're going to talk about what we saw. Ready? Here we go, class. All right. What'd you see in that footage? What'd you see? Seriously. Because when I look at it, you know what I see? I see a 165-pound kid that's extremely raw. I also saw someone, and this is the only this is the takeable trait, right? If you're looking for one in that footage, I saw someone with very unique bounce. Okay, bounce is a new word I came up with for just Ladd. Okay, there's twitch, there's explosivity, there's the ability to reach maximum speed at short area quickness, all that good stuff. Bounce. Ladd McConkey covers more ground in fewer steps for someone his size than anyone I've evaluated. His ability to cover ground short amounts of time, but rather with minimal effort and minimal movement skills. That's what I saw. Okay, the force he puts into the ground, even in that footage, even at 165 pounds after not having done any football-related activities, because that's what that footage was. That footage was in March of 2020. Okay, he was fresh off of a basketball season, and he had not done any football-related activities. But right there, you can notice that, again, he has very unique bounce. The ground force is what we're talking about here. That was the unique trait. That is what Kirby Smart saw at his basketball games that he actually offered Ladd McConkey at. Funny story, Kirby Smart, big basketball fan, okay, at least high school hoops. He likes to go watch. Jalen Carter, notorious story of being a high school hooper as a freshman and sophomore. Georgia kept him under the wraps. They knew this is going to be the next one. They saw him play hoops. That's all they had to do, okay? Same thing for Ladd. Kirby Smart goes to season play hoops, and I guarantee you he saw this unique bounce trait. He saw his ability to cover ground effortlessly despite the lack of size, right? That was the unique trait, and that was the gamble, okay? That is what he gambled upon. Again, I said it at the start of the show. I know the immediate thoughts when thinking about this run that the University of Georgia is on. The immediate thought is to think about all the 5-stars that they land and all the first-round draft picks and all the NFL draft picks and all of the uber-talented people that Kirby Smart has convinced to come play at the University of Georgia. And not only that, once they get there, to stay at the University of Georgia. That's what everybody talks about. And it's easy to do that. And I understand that that's the main cog in the machine that keeps this thing rolling. But, dude, these gambles that he has been taking in every single class and the hit rate that he is at, that is the impressive thing, right? That is the impressive thing in my mind, okay? But all of these guys that they gamble on, they may not be true 1%ers, right? And on this channel, what we call 1%ers are people who are the upper echelon of what they do, right? They are the elite of elite at what they do and in their class or classification or job title, whatever, job description, whatever, elite of elite, 1%ers. Though none of these gambles that Kirby Smart has made over the years, and we're going to run through some of them, have been 1%ers, they all have at least one 1% trait, okay? They are 1% big, or they are 1% fast, or they are 1% uniquely bounced, or they are 1% lengthy, or they are 1% tall, right? They have these 1% traits that Georgia is willing to gamble on, and oftentimes they hit. Even though outside of the societal norms when it comes to recruiting, right? Jordan Davis was 1% big. Jordan Davis was so big that college football programs thought that they should play him at offensive line. Trey Scott was the only football coach in America that was willing to play Jordan Davis at the nose tackle position on the SEC level. That's a gamble. It was a gamble on him being 1% big. Eric Stokes was 1% fast. Okay, he's the fastest human in 6A classification, state of Georgia. Won the state title at Newton in the 100. I think he ran something like 10.75. Okay, 1% fast. Take a gamble on him, coach. Chris Peel, 1% fast, 2023. They're taking a gamble. Dude's been playing corner for 2 seasons. Now he's got to come play corner in the SEC. Can he do it? I don't know. He's physically gifted enough to do it. 1% trait. He's got 1% traits. Darius Smith, 1% speed and length. Even his walk-ons, guys, even his walk-ons that he has given preferred walk-ons and spots on his roster, they are 1% gifted. Dan Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, was a 4.44 runner in high school. He was a 1% speed guy. Believe it or not, I know that blows your damn mind because he's a grinder. I know. I understand that. But there are 1% traits in all of these gambles, right? Now, he has some misses on these gambles, right? For every Ladd McConkey on the storyline, right? For every Jordan Davis on the storyline, there is a Jacob Hood, okay? Despite the fact that, hey, we made our qualms well known. Coach, that ain't a Georgia player. He's massive. He's massive, Brooks. It's okay, Coach. I don't know, Coach. I don't know, man. I don't know. He might need to go to Nebraska, Coach. You know what I mean? Even though every once in a while they will miss, it's just as important for this program to hit on these guys as it is for them to hit on the 5 stars. Because, guys, you can't just take nothing but 5 stars, especially in a world where salary caps have basically entered the college football ranks, right? You can't just sign everybody, even though you're going to sign everybody. Okay, every once in a while, you have to take one of these guys that's in state. You have to give some balance and some take and surround yourself in your program with people who love the University of Georgia. That was Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey loves the University of Georgia. Okay. But that's not the only thing. Okay. These 1% trait guys, all of them that succeed, the Jordan Davises of the world, the Eric Stokes of the world, the Ladd McConkeys of the world, the J.R. Reeds of the world, all these guys that succeed at something despite not being a 1%er and having just 1% trait. All of these guys that succeed have one thing in common, despite their 1% trait. They are all extremely hard workers, okay? I just showed you footage of Ladd McConkey from May of 2020. March of 2020. I'm about to show you footage from 2 months later, okay? What you saw was a 165-pound human being that I didn't have it on the clips there, fell down a few times when he was out running football drills because hadn't been playing football in a while. Okay. And then I see this. Okay. I see this 2 months later. Okay. The whole class got to sit down and watch Ladd in March. Now, the whole class with Professor Brooks is about to sit down and watch this young man 2 months later. And this right here, this will explain that, yes, he has a 1% trait, but it's the work ethic, folks. Check it out. Noticeably bigger. Noticeably bigger. 15 pounds. Shout out Terrence Edwards. All right. Couple things here. Yes, that was Pierce Sperlin standing behind him in some of that footage. And yes, that was Jermaine Burton at the end. Let's move on from that. Okay, couple things that you noticed outside of Jermaine Burton standing right there and probably bringing up some type of feelings for you Georgia fans. Couple things to notice. Yes, noticeably bigger, right? Put on a large amount of weight in a short amount of time. Results from work ethic, right? But the other thing you need to notice, that's a kid from North Murray High School. North Murray is in the foothills of Northeast Georgia. I mean, it is up there. Okay, that location where that was shot, that's the bubble. That's in west side of Atlanta off exit 12 on I-285. Okay, that is a long way, ladies and gentlemen, from North Murray High School. And Ladd McConkey drove his butt from North Murray down to the bubble to work with Terrence Edwards because he knew what he needed to do, right? It's really, really easy to sit and, well, first of all, it's not easy. It's hard. The first step to any, improvement is to identify your areas of weakness, right? To identify what you need to get better at. That's really, really hard. Self-introspection does not happen a lot nowadays. People don't think about how they can get better. They just think about how everyone else is wrong. Most people, not to get on my high horse here, but it's one thing to know where you need to get better. It's another to work your ass off and apply yourself to get better in those areas. And that's exactly what he did. Before he even stepped foot on campus, dude got exponentially better in a short amount of time. And then by the time he was a redshirt freshman, the guy that was in that footage was transferring to Alabama because Ladd McConkey had taken his job. Gambles. They were gambles. Ladd McConkey is a gamble. He was a gamble. Why are we talking about him tonight? Well, you see, now after 3 years at the University of Georgia, Jim Nagy, the director of the Senior Bowl, okay, was sitting down apparently with his scouts today, and they came up to the decision of Ladd McConkey is a top 100 player in this upcoming NFL draft. Guys, that means Ladd McConkey is going to be a top 3-round pick at 5'10", 185 pounds. That's unique. That is unique as hell. Okay, so today, here's to Ladd McConkey. Hats off to a gamble that paid off because he has a 1% trait, that bounce and that burst, and he has 1% work ethic. Okay, gambles that paid off for Kirby Smart, okay, and paid off at a higher rate than some of the 4 and 5 stars that he signed at that position. Ain't that wild? Ain't that wild? Oh, and a side note, Ladd McConkey's success does not just come because he works hard and he's got the proper 1% trait at his position required to be great. That's not it. That's not the only reason. That boy tough as hell, and he going to have to be because 5'10", 165 pounds going to continue to get hurt. 185 pounds is going to continue to get hurt the rest of his career, I would imagine, or banged up rather, right? Banged up at least. Yeah, dude, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget going out there. And it's happened a couple of times to me. Okay, it's happened a couple of times to me. It's happened, I'll tell it, Gabe Harris. I've told him this story, actually, so I don't mind telling. Gabe Harris transferred to Valdosta High School going into his senior year, right? Yeah, and then finished at IMG Academy. So that spring and summer, he was at Valdosta High School before the GHSA cracked down on some silly stuff. But Gabe Harris is at Valdosta High School, and he's at a summer camp. No. I went down on my spring tour. Okay. Went down on my spring tour, drove all the way down to Valdosta. Valdosta was in full pads that day. It was about 90 degrees in the middle of May. And my boy was loafing it. I mean, flat out loafing it. I mean, walking everywhere. Body language was terrible. Head was dragging. I mean, tongue out was just just awful. Awful. Not good. I left that field that day thinking he ain't going to survive. There is no way that kid survives at the University of Georgia. They will eat him alive. It is not a place where you can not work hard and not practice and not go balls to the wall at all times. It's just not the place where that exists. And then I saw Gabe Harris 6 weeks later. And Gabe Harris was at a full padded practice against Parkview. And I'll be damned if he not only was the best player on the football field, but he was playing like his daggum hair was on fire. Okay? Was the hardest working dude I've seen that summer, or I saw that summer. In a matter of 6 weeks, that's how much that football player changed. So guys like Ladd McConkey, guys like Gabe Harris, guys like Champ Thompson, who's committed to Clemson, those guys make me basically instilled a got to see him twice rule for me. Like, I can't just see a kid once. I got to go see him twice because they might change drastically for the better or for the worse. I've always talked about how I stay away from football players that when I see them year over year, because I do see a lot of kids year over year like that right there. When I see kids year over year, if you don't improve, I'm like, ugh, I can't do it. Well, the same could be said in the inverse for players who make drastic changes. I'm all in on you. I got to have some me of you because you clicked. Something happened. And now we are a better football player. And we have a higher ceiling than we even did 5 months ago when Georgia took you. Right? Like those kinds of things are invaluable for an evaluator like me. Also, invaluable. 4.0 students who love the University of Georgia. And invaluable thumbs up buttons on the channel. Players who have 4.0s and love the University of Georgia and are who are from the state of Georgia are invaluable in a world of transfer portal and NIL. Put it on your board in your recruiting office. Coaches, if you don't think prioritizing in-state talent in a world where transfer portal exists and NIL exists, then you don't understand economies. It would cost me more money to hire some out-of-state guy and bring him over here to do work, right? Yeah, it would. So it's going to cost less money to hire the guys that are local, right? Yeah, it would, right? It's called mobilization fees, okay? In the construction world is what we call that. I got to pay you to mobilize my equipment, all right? So it's cost efficient to recruit in-state guys. Why am I talking about that? Georgia just committed a 4.0 student at a position of need, okay, in the form of Justin Greene, who lives 45 minutes from the University of Georgia and loves the University of Georgia, wants to play at the University of Georgia. That is invaluable. Invaluable, okay? So if you're sitting here wondering today, why Georgia taking Justin Greene? There's a lot of D tackles still on the board, Brooks. A lot of defensive linemen, a lot of big fives is what they call. A lot of big fives still on the board, Brooks. Heck, that Justin Scott guy was in town last week. Hell, Ajanye was in, I'm going to butcher that name. My man from Texas was in town this week, right? Or going to be in town soon, right? Heck, you got Edric Houston over at Buford. Like, it's early. It's early. What are we doing? 4.0 student. Loves the University of Georgia. Very, very interesting cat, too. Got a bull nose ring. If you told me Justin Greene, I said this to somebody the other, if you told me Justin Greene liked to watch anime and was a flautist, I would not be surprised. Okay, my man is like the definition of a Renaissance man. I mean, he is just different. He is a cool cat. He's just very, very different than some of the defensive linemen that are in that room. Okay, Jordan Hall and Justin Greene, diametrically opposed human beings. I mean, like way over here. Okay, but he's a solid addition to the class, and I'm going to show you why today. Before we watch this, I'm switching too much, probably giving you all kind of seasickness. Before we get into this film, I can already tell you what I think we're going to see. I've seen one clip of it, but I've watched him in person, and the thing that I was blown away by was his ability to fight with his hands. I've had this take over and over again, and I wish, and I know they do, I wish more and more recruiting people would listen to me when I say this, okay? Stop telling me that kids are going to switch over to the defensive line and start rushing the passer immediately, because they won't, okay? They will not. It takes years and years and years of figuring out ways to use your hands and defeat blocks, okay? Years. You will not be able to go over there and figure it out in 6 months unless your name is Sam Mpemba. That is it. Unless you are touched by God to be one of the best athletes and pick things up faster than anybody else, you will not do this in a short amount of time. So when I see kids that are, oh, coach, I used to play tight end, I just moved over to defensive end, you're going to take 18 months, okay? And it, conversely, if I see a football player that may not be like freakazoid, but he knows how to fight with his hands, and he's like already got his finesse figured out, and he already knows his pass rush plan, and he already knows how to be a pass rusher, by God, that is invaluable. That is invaluable, and that is exactly what Justin Greene is. Justin Greene fights with his hands phenomenally, and I'm excited to show you the tape today. Hey, we got a saying around here. I don't know if you guys know it. Okay, we got a saying around here. It's called shut up and grind the tape, but we can't shut up and grind the tape until Huddle gets their ads out of here. Huddle, man, y'all gotta get out of here. I know y'all make enough money. Y'all don't need to be running ads. Listen to me, the guy who runs ads on his YouTube. Hypocrite. Here we go. Shut up. Grind the tape. All right, so I'm telling you off rip, I'm guaranteeing we see some hand fighting skills here. Big, thick kid, about 275 pounds, maybe 280, I'd say. There's the hand fight. Boom. Immediately with the overhand swipe right here, he's going to take this right hand, this right tackle from Jackson County. He's going to try to give him a little stab. He's going to take that right hand, swipe it over the top. Boom, right there. All right. That alone, second clip of the film, I can tell you right now, that puts him like middle of the depth chart. Georgia has football players. Can't see the huddle. That's on me, guys. Georgia has football players, okay, that can't do this. They can't overhand swipe. They can't figure out their hand fighting skills. They just see pass and they immediately go into a bull rush right here. This right here, boom. This right tackle is going to try to stab him. Boom. He's going to swipe that overhand over, and now he's free. Now he's done. All he's got to do is bend the hoop, turn this foot back to the inside. Boom, just like that. Get that foot planted. We could probably point it towards the quarterback a little bit more. That'll allow us to, turn that hoop a little bit better. But that move alone, that one overhand swipe, like I just said, and you didn't see it until now, that one move right there puts him midway through the depth chart immediately, okay? Immediately at that, 4-eye, 3-tech spot, okay? Because pass rushing abilities are invaluable in college football, particularly from the interior, which I think is what this dude's going to play. That Devontae Wyatt, Bear Alexander, Kristen Miller, that kind of like big 3-tech Jalen Carter type role, right? That's what I expect Justin Greene to play when he gets to the University of Georgia. He's going to bulk up too. He's going to get bigger, okay? Going to get bigger. It's actually kind of similar to what he's playing right now. He's kind of in a head-up 5. I think at most he'll be in a 4-eye. Dude, this is a jump. This is really, really, really refined, okay? He's going to leave his feet, okay, right there. Boom. He's going to jump, grab both hands with his inside hand, pull them down, and then bend the hoop and get the rip in, man. That is a refined football player, ladies and gentlemen. That is a refined football player. And now we're going to go run to pass and show a little burst. Okay, run. I like the fit square, disengage, go chase down the ball carrier. You blocking field goals too, my boy? Okay. We got any celebration from my boy? I don't see a lot of celebration coming from Justin Greene in the near future. Okay, I think this is kind of a about my business kind of dude. Love how he extends the arm here, guys. Watch this. Does not allow. Okay, and I know this is Jackson County. Okay, this ain't like he ain't playing Grayson. All right. We'll just leave it at that. Way to get flat. Way to get flat and blow up the ball carrier. Man, Jackson County don't want to see no more Justin Greene, but they got to. That's a good stunt. That's a stunt that he's going to be running at Georgia if he actually plays this big end spot. I think there's a chance that he ends up kicking inside, though, like we told you. StreamYard struggling a little bit. Is this them against Kell? Looks like them against Kell. It's a really good offense right here. Is that Lambert? Probably Lambert. Good wide base right there. Watch him spread his feet out. Okay, boom. Strikes with his hands, gets turned, all right, and spreads that feet, sinks them hips, and gets flat. Or gets square, rather. Not square, but gets stout, I should say. Powerful in his pads. That's a good low stance, too. Good God almighty. Guys, that's a big boy doing that. That's a really, really big boy doing that right there. I like me some Justin Greene tape, man. I did like the in-person eval as well, okay? I think this is a no problems ever kind of football player. I think Justin Greene and the University of Georgia are a good marriage and a good match. And this will be a guy on your roster for however long, okay? And I don't think we ever worry about, hey, is Justin Greene going into the portal? Hey, is Justin Greene upset about playing time? Hey, Justin Greene going to be a damn good dog. I got a feeling. I don't like to do a lot of predictions on whether or not somebody's going to uphold damn good dog status, because I know how much that means to you folks that's listening to this channel right now. But that's a great kid. And that's a great kid, like I said, with a 4.0 GPA average that loves Georgia and is a really, really refined football player from a pass rush perspective. That's good news, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, for Brooks Austin, for the Film Guy Network, for everything, for Dogs Daily, for all that good stuff, for patreon.com/Brooks Austin. We didn't throw a single shout out to Patreon tonight. Maybe we'll have to give out a sliding scale, Majiggy. I don't know. We'll see you next time All right. Love you. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out.